is a warning for all parents. If your kid comes to you about something concerning, believe them, even if it is bizarre. This happened during the fall of last year. It was a few weeks away from Halloween, and my son, who was 6 at the time, was out in the driveway with his neighborhood friends painting pumpkins. I had them do it in the driveway because of how messy it gets, and the paint was easy to just wash away. Anyway, as my son and his friends are outside, and I was inside the kitchen making dinner. As I'm boiling the pasta, my son comes in. He said, "Mom, there's a clown outside." This didn't really concern me as it was close to Halloween, and I knew kids always dressed up and wore costumes around the neighborhood. I told him that's fine, just make sure you guys all stay in the driveway and don't go anywhere else. My son then walked back outside. Not even 5 minutes later though, he comes back, except this time he was holding a red balloon. He said that the clown told him to give me this and to tell me that I'm a bad mom. Now I was worried. It's one thing for kids outside to be dressed up as clowns, but I didn't want them coming up and telling my kids things like this. I go outside to confront this clown and tell him to stay away, but when I got outside to the driveway, there was no clown. I asked my son where he was, and he just shrugged his shoulders. I was getting nervous at this point, and despite the mess the paint would make, I told all the kids to come inside and finish painting their pumpkins. I felt as if this was safer. Well, the rest of the night went by normally. The kids finished their pumpkins, and I made sure all their parents came to pick them up because I wasn't sure where that clown was. My son was so proud of his pumpkin, and we put it on the front steps of the house for decoration, and then we called it a night. The next morning, as I was going out to get the mail, I noticed that my son's pumpkin from the night previously was smashed. I couldn't believe it. I bent down to pick up the mess when I saw a note lying next to the mess. It said, "This will be your son's head, because you're a very bad mom. Signed, Binky the Clown." And get this, all the other kids who painted their pumpkins, I found out from their parents that theirs were also smashed, except none of them had a threatening note about killing their child. Since I was a single mom, I didn't have a husband to help me figure out who was behind this, so my next best bet was to have 911 called. Reports were made, but since I don't have any cameras, there wasn't really much they could do. They did have a patrol car circle our neighborhood for the next week or so, but still nothing. And what's even more disturbing, a few weeks after that happened, around Halloween time, my son claimed that Binky the Clown was at his bedroom window at night, and I believe him. Thankfully though, there have been no encounters since then. But it is getting closer to Halloween as I write this, and I am terrified that he will return. So me and my family take the fall season pretty seriously. We decorate the entire inside and outside of the house. We were actually published in a local magazine for Best Decorated House for Halloween. My family consists of me, my dad, and my mom. We were shopping almost the entire day trying to find all the good decorations for the house. When we got home, it was close to 8 p.m. and it was pretty much dark at this point. My dad was upstairs working on some work things while me and my mom were down in the kitchen. We were making some hot chocolate and planning on watching a horror movie later that night. I was at the counter mixing my hot chocolate while my mom was at the sink washing cups. I was all done mixing when I heard my mom let out this terrifying scream. I turned around and she was pointing out the window. I asked what's wrong. She said someone was just standing at the window with some kind of scary mask. My dad heard the screams from upstairs and came sprinting down. I should note this that my dad was ex-military. When he came into the kitchen, my mom told my dad that there was someone looking in at us from the kitchen window. Without hesitation, my dad opens up the kitchen door and runs out. And I'll be honest, I was terrified, because what if that person had a weapon of some sort? Then, moments later, we hear my dad wrestling someone to the ground and shouting, "Call the police now." The cops get there and assess the situation. When they got there, my dad had this guy pinned down to the ground. What was weird was he kept saying over and over again, "The Ouija board made me do it. The Ouija board made me do it." I wasn't actually able to see this man's face because he had on this mask. But when the cops got there, they detained the man and pulled off his mask. One of the first things I hear the officer say is, "Charles, when did they let you out?" Apparently, this guy Charles was released from prison 2 weeks prior for arson. And you know where he was standing when my mom saw him? Right beside our propane tank. The cops took him away, and even when they put him in the car, he wouldn't stop saying the Ouija board made him do it. That honestly was one of the most frightening moments of my life. If my mom hadn't looked out the window when she did, I might not be here telling you this story. Be safe, everyone, especially as we get closer to Halloween. Apparently, that's when all the crazies come out. So, this was one of the creepiest things that's ever happened to me. Last year, I was throwing a Halloween party. It wasn't actually on Halloween. I hosted it like a week before due to all my friends' work schedules, but nonetheless, it was a party. And for reference, I was a 22-year-old female at the time. It also wasn't a huge party. Only 12 people showed up, but we all dressed up in costumes, drank pumpkin beers, and listened to music. The party was going on for about an hour when I heard someone knocking at my door. And I figured it was another one of my friends who may have been late arriving. I opened the door, and standing before me was a girl who I've never seen before. She was sickly looking, like she was extremely skinny, and my first impression of her was that she had to be a drug addict. Well, I asked her, "How can I help you?" She was quiet for a moment, but then said, "Do you have a lighter?" I did, and reached into my pocket. She said she just needed to light her cigarette. I handed this girl the lighter and watched as she sparked up. It was a very awkward interaction as I just stood there at the door and watched as she smoked her cigarette. She hands me the lighter back and, without another word, just starts walking away. I watched as I saw her get into a car not too far that had 2 other men sitting in the front seat. I shut the door, wondering what the hell that was all about, and just get back to the party. But throughout the night, I would frequently look out the window, and every time I did, I would see that car with the girl and the 2 men still parked in the exact spot, like they didn't move. An hour goes by since all that happened when there was another knock at the door. I opened it, and it was that sickly girl again. This time she said, "We love Halloween. Can we come in and party?" I politely declined this and tell her no. She starts throwing huge fits and starts calling me all sorts of curses and slurs. I even thought she was going to hit me at one point. But she doesn't, and again walks away back to the car with the 2 men sitting in the front. And at this point, all my friends at the party are asking what the hell is going on. I said I don't know, but there's some weird people outside. They didn't seem to be freaked out as I was, probably because most of them were less sober than I was. The party went on till about midnight, and that's when everyone left to head home. Most ordered Ubers. I said goodbye to my last friend who left, locked my door, and went back to the window to check to see if those people were still there. They were. Except this time, they see me looking out the window at them, and they start flashing their high beams at me. I shut the blinds and start to seriously consider if these people would get violent and attack me. I returned to the window 5 minutes later after I took my costume off, and to my surprise, I saw that their car was gone. But I still wasn't able to sleep well that night because I thought they were going to come back with guns or something. But they never did. And to this day, I have no clue what that girl really wanted or why she wanted to come in and join a party of people she doesn't know. I also have no idea who those two men were. But yeah, like I said, that was the creepiest thing that ever happened to me.